hatred taking place on America's campuses across America, and it's targeting Israel and those of Jewish faith and background here in America. Let's take a look at this video of what happened recently at UCLA.
So given that you're a Jewish student and very active in the Jewish community and still at SA5, and given that recently the Title 20 edition laws and mess has been surrounding cases of conflict of interest, how do you see yourself being able to maintain an unbiased view as your position?
All right, so there we see a Jewish student being targeted because she is Jewish by the student body at UCLA. We're going to talk about that story, and then it leads into a bigger story, and then an even bigger story. Joining me in studio is Barry Nussbaum. Barry is an Israeli advocate and founding member of the Israel Group. Now, you're also an AIPAC member. That's important because AIPAC was in the news last week with both the White House and, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, this UCLA student tried to become a member of the student council, the Student Judicial Council, and she was told by fellow UCLA students that she cannot be on that council because she is Jewish. It's remarkable. You're following the story closely. Give us some insight here.
Yeah, it's startling that this is happening in 2015, Rick. This young lady, Rachel Beda, went before the student council for final interviews to be qualified to be on the judiciary, which is basically UCLA's Supreme Court for major issues that come before them for review. The questions at the end got very personal. And the question was along the line of, you're Jewish, yes. You're active in the Jewish community. You belong to a predominantly Jewish sorority, yes. So given that background, how could you possibly sit on the council court and be independent?
This is amazing. Now, we know there's a left-wing bias on America's college campuses. The left wing in America prides themselves for being self-described more tolerant than the right. How can anyone sit there? I don't care if they're left, they're right, they're up, they're down, they're center. How can they sit there and ask a student, why do you believe you can be here given you're Jewish, you're Polish, you're African, you're Hispanic? I don't care. Fill in the blank, in this case is Jewish. And they say it without understanding that there's nothing wrong with what they're saying.
Yeah, it's completely outrageous.
And we're going to go into how this happened. Before we do, where does it all stand right now?
Well, the outcry, Rick, was dramatic and very quick. The comments that were being made from people that saw the transcripts were, imagine if they said, oh, you're female and you're active with females, or you're Hispanic,
so where
or
does it
you're
stand
black.
right now?
Apparently, the discussions were held by faculty advisors to the council members who said, hey, whoa, you can't judge that way.
Yeah.
You're out of line.
Good.
And after a very spirited discussion, the objections were recanted. Several of the council members wrote letters of apology, and she was ultimately accepted onto the court.
All right. Now, so that's the good news here. But the troubling news, I told our audience a moment ago, there's an issue, a bigger issue, and a bigger issue.
Right.
Let's go to the first bigger issue, and that is there is an indoctrination taking place of young minds on America's college campuses, a narrative which is indoctrinating these minds, which led to these students questioning her integrity because she's Jewish. And this indoctrination is something called the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions.
Correct.
Tell us what's happening here.
Okay. The BDS movement, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement against Israel, it's solely about Israel, is designed to demonize Israel, to separate America from Israel, and ultimately through a series of steps.
And this is happening specifically on America's campuses.
Today, right now, from coast to coast, Rick, on every major university and college campus.
It is a movement to pressure the university's pension funds and any relationship with the university has, if I want to make sure I say this right, to divest itself of any investments in Israel because there are Israelis on Arab lands.
It actually started about 10 years ago. Omar Baghouti, an Egyptian-raised activist, put this together with the idea in mind that Israel is the same as apartheid South Africa. We're going to put together a movement to isolate Israel economically and politically, and ultimately it'll be a pariah state that no one will do any business with.
All right, so that movement, known as the BDS, is taking place on America's campuses. Young minds age 18 to 22 are being fed this information by these radical groups that Israel and anyone of the Jewish heritage is a pariah. And with this movement, and so this is how we get to this point where a student council tells a young woman on the UCLA campus, you shouldn't be here.
Well, she's hearing that from the BDS movement, Rick. So she's hearing, oh, you're Jewish, you must support Israel, therefore you're not impartial. So all of us have societal backgrounds, right?
Right.
But that societal background is now becoming an exclusionary qualification.
All right, let's take it a step further. I said it's a big picture, a bigger picture, and a bigger picture. So who are these people on these campuses? They're not just targeting Israel, they're targeting America and its way of life.
Absolutely. The idea is an outgrowth of radical, politically involved Islamic movements from the Middle East. The idea is that Israel will be sanctioned by the world. Primarily, their cause here is America. And as American companies divest, as pension plans, as you said, divest, politically that will get to the point where Washington will want to separate, and then their agenda will happen here and happen there.
So you're saying it's a radical Islamic background behind this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why you see students, for example, at college campuses here in California, yelling Allah Akbar at Jewish gatherings.
Right. We're almost out of time. I want to get this in here, Barry. Look, we have a very proactive audience. We have a very engaged audience. I had one on radio, and we have one here. I mean, just ask Costco. The Costco CEO contacted us. This audience of this show gets involved to make a difference in the lives of others during times of injustice. I am going to take up this cause, Barry, of fighting the BDS movement across America, all right? But I need your help. You're the founder of the Israel group,
correct,
which fights that. I need guidance from you of how this show can fight that. It's not a quick fight. It's a long-term fight of how this show and this audience can fight that. I know you met with Daryl ISIS people at lunchtime today. We're down in less than 30 seconds. How can we help you be an advocate against this group?
Go to the website.
How can I help you? I'm not going to go to the website. I'm here on television right now.
Okay. We're organizing across the country through the IsraelGroup.org the ability to get the information out of what's happening on college campuses. It's anti-American, it's anti-Israel, it's anti-Jewish, it's funded and organized out of the Middle East by the same people that want to change the world from the Middle East to the kind of world vision they see.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to raise awareness and expose times of wrongdoing, and we're going to call on our audience from time to time when we see these instances of injustice, or call on our audience to take action. We'll talk about what that action is when it occurs in the future. All right, you can be at a working point. You'll be back later in the show as part of the panel. Again, this is wrong, and it's just not just some nice students trying to do the right thing. These people have been indoctrinated by radical Islamic extremists out of the Middle East, and they're targeting America, and they're doing it through Jewish students here on American campuses. We want to take this up for the long-term fight. All right, Barry Nussbaum, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right.